Hey, this is John with FixYourDirtBike.com, and this is how to service the swing arm on your 1997 through 2001 Honda CR250. The swing arm is a torch and hammer service, so arrange your work area accordingly. You can find the rest of the tools and parts needed, as well as a link to the full walkthrough listed below. Before you start stripping the swing arm, remove the swing arm pivot bolt. You may need to lay your bike on its side and beat the bolt out with a sledgehammer, and that's easier to do with the rear wheel still on. Once you get the pivot bolt out, replace it just enough to keep the swing arm attached. Remove the rear wheel, brake caliper, and brake line guides. Hang the caliper out of the way. Remove the chain guide assembly. On the bottom of the swing arm, remove the bolt connecting the swing arm to the shock arm. Pull the swing arm bolt and remove the swing arm from your bike. Remove the chain slider. Give your swing arm a scrub and a rinse before taking it to your bench. Start by marking the left side of the swing arm. It doesn't matter what side you start with, but disassemble one side at a time and make sure to keep each side separated. In this video, I will be starting with the left side. Remove the seals from the inside and outside of the bore. The collar is removed from inside the swing arm, and the thrust bearing and washers from the outside of the swing arm. You should have 6 pieces per side: inner seal, collar, thrust washer, thrust bearing, thrust washer, seal, and slide collar. As you can see here, I am missing a thrust washer that is still stuck in the bore. This swing arm bore is extremely contaminated, and the grit pressing against the washer rubbed a groove in the bore. After a lot of PB blaster and picking, I was able to remove it without too much hassle. With each side disassembled, clean the bore with parts cleaner and a towel or soft bristle brush. These bearings are a press fit, so you will need a press to remove them. I don't have a press, and I bet you don't either, so the heat and beat method will work just fine. These bearings need to be removed from the inside of the swing arm, so you will need a socket extension to reach through the opposite bore. Stabilize your swing arm with a block of wood, and if you can clamp it down, even better. Assemble your socket and extension and rest it on the bearing. Heat the swing arm bore for about 60 seconds, making sure to continually move the torch for even heating. Smoke is normal, and grease residue may catch fire. Remove the torch and firmly tap the bearings. If you have to hammer at them, reheat until you don't. Clean the swing arm thoroughly. Make sure each hole is clean and smooth, and sand them if they are not. I had to grind down the washer groove on the left side bearing bore with a Dremel and carbide bit followed by a sanding bit to smooth it out. Finally, clean the pivot shaft mounting holes on the body. I am using an all balls rebuild kit for this service. This kit comes with nylon bushings instead of thrust washers. While not OEM, these nylon replacements are a good alternative. Keep your sides separated and match up your new parts. These bearings are longer than they are wide, which will make installing with a socket and a hammer difficult. I find using a DIY press and a mallet works very well. Depending on what you have to work with, your socket, nut, and washer orientation will be different than mine. As you tighten the nuts, give corrective taps with your mallet as needed to keep the bearing straight. Once your bearing is about 3/4 of the way in, you can remove your press and finish driving the bearing with a socket and hammer. When you are done, the bearing should be flush with the inner lip of the bore. Apply a fat layer of moly grease for every piece installed. I like to start with the outside first, followed by the inside seal, then inside collar. I know it sounds weird installing the collar before the seal, but seating the seal around the collar is extremely difficult, and since you're using so much grease, it won't be a problem. The outside stack is oriented: thrust washer, thrust bearing, thrust washer, seal, side collar. With both sides installed, clean off the excess grease and reattach the chain slider. Do not grease your new pivot bolt. The grease will scrape off as it's installed. Instead, apply grease to the right side of every bore on the frame and case. Internal greasing will give the grease a better chance of reaching the other side of the frame. Align your swing arm and install the new pivot bolt. Install the shock arm bolt and reattach the chain guide. Install the rear wheel and brake caliper. Finally, replace the brake line guides. If you want to see the full step-by-step guide, you can find it at FixYourDirtBike.com. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or on social. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.